Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of Networking Now, and I am joined with Deanna Russo. She is a LinkedIn strategist and owner of Leverage Up. She knows all of the things LinkedIn, and she is a complete expert when it comes to making sure that we are maximizing your visibility and networking strategy on LinkedIn. So, thank you again so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, Jen.
Absolutely. So we were talking about the triangle strategy. So if you want to jump back in and continue talking about exactly what that is and how we can maximize our profile in networking on LinkedIn.
Sure. So, the very first part of the triangle strategy is your profile. And that is where you generate the know factor of the know, like, and trust. And then once your profile is optimized, your work is not done. Unfortunately, it's not done. Next is to get that billboard in front of the masses. And what I mean by that is your LinkedIn profile is that billboard along the side of a highway. If that highway doesn't have traffic driving by that billboard, it may look really good, but what's the point of even putting all the work into it if you're not being seen? And so the next two pieces of the triangle is where visibility really comes in. And so we generate the like and the know, like, and trust in the comments, in the engagement, in the conversations that you're having on LinkedIn. And I'll go back to the networking event metaphor. If you walk into a networking event and immediately go to the corner and not communicate with everybody, yes, you check the box that you're at the networking event, but is it doing any good for you? Not really. So, the really big part of LinkedIn, that the reason why the triangle strategy exists is really to generate the conversations and know you can know people through the profile, but if you aren't having conversations that get you in front of the people you want to have conversations with, who you want to be more visible to, then there's no point. So I encourage people, rather than scrolling by things on LinkedIn, or rather than just reacting to something. I mean, I'll go back to that networking event. Do you walk into a networking event and give a thumbs up or a heart emoji or a clapping? Probably not. You
Right.
actually talk to people. So that's what it's all about. Have conversations in the comments, and people will get to like you.
I really like that. And so when we're having conversations, it's I would like to assume that it's organic, so it becomes a little bit more natural. What about the people that we want to be in front of, and we don't typically, they don't pop up on our social media or on a LinkedIn profile, and we want to be more engaged with those particular people? How do we just go and look at their recent posts and comment on those posts just so they can see more of our information and also get in front of them?
I appreciate you asking that. So, one of the things that I work with my clients is strategic engagement. And what I mean by that is, if you walk into that networking event and you see all of those people talking, imagine that there are signs hanging over the conversations telling you what everybody's talking about. In real life, it doesn't happen, but honestly, I would love to go to a networking event where there's signs hanging all over the place.
Me
But
too.
on LinkedIn, it can. So I teach my clients, these are the circles, these are the areas that you need to be spending more time in to have those conversations. And so we teach the strategic engagement. Basically, you have to go back to the questions that start off when you're looking to start on LinkedIn, and the foundation pieces of LinkedIn. Ask yourself, why am I here? Who am I looking to start conversations with? Who do I want to work with if you're a business owner? It all goes back to knowing who you want to, so that you're not wasting your time, and you know exactly why you're there and who you want to talk with. But yeah, I teach my clients that type of thing so that they're not just searching and just blindly going into this. They actually know, this is where I want to hang out. This is where I want to have conversations.
I really like that. And I remember, so because I'm still trying to get back into being more attentive to LinkedIn and being more engaged. And I got turned off for a little bit when there really started being a little bit more of that AI and robot feature and messaging messenger. It really turned me off for a little bit. And then I noticed it started to subside. But there was a notification type of thing that exists if there was someone that we wanted to talk to. Does that still exist? And if it does, is that something that you would suggest?
Sometimes you'll see notifications like that on LinkedIn that this person posted and we thought that you'd like to comment. You could check it out. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take it for Bible, that you have to contribute to it, but follow those suggestions very tentatively to just to see if they are on the right path. So I always say caution when it comes to that.
Good. That's really good to know. And then because I feel like we can get stuck down a rabbit hole, I mean myself included. I have ADHD, so like it's so easy for me to just like become hyper focused and get lost in conversation. Are there any suggestions that you would have for someone like myself that, really wants to just engage with, my audience but not get stuck almost like spiraling out and being on it for too long and wasting time?
Well, keep in mind this, the algorithm for LinkedIn will show you the people that you know you want to see and the content that you want to see. So once you are like, if for example, you wanted to comment on X, Y, and Z, and you know that you needed to do that, you're going to have to go to those conversations at first. And then the algorithm is going to be trained because once you keep showing up and you keep commenting on that particular person's content or that topic, then the algorithm will be trained to say she wants to see this. So it takes a little bit of work to train the algorithm before you can actually just before it will just pop up in there and you'll be able to see it.
That makes sense. And so just like kind of getting yourself into that habit of you looking for what it is that you're particularly looking for. Now, going back to walking into a room and getting to know all of these people, I think we touched upon it briefly. It might have been in one of our personal conversations, but LinkedIn groups. I still have a really hard time trying to understand LinkedIn groups and being efficient with making connections in there. Do you have any suggestions about that?
Well, when it comes to LinkedIn groups, the best advice I have is to test. And what I mean by that is if you go to a group and you join a group and then you are not seeing the conversations worthy of your time because it's very important. Your time is very important. Then leave the group and see if you can find something else. It's not worthwhile going back and forth to try and find the conversations when there aren't any. So that's why I'm like, don't spend a lot of time in groups that aren't worthwhile. See if you can find groups where it is worthy of your time.
Which makes sense because if you just I guess subscribe to all of these groups, then it's going to fill up your feed with things that you don't want to have for information. So it's almost
Right.
like now you have to kind of filter through all of it instead of having things that are more important.
Yeah, you have to just spend the time where it makes the most sense. And if there is a group that you're finding the conversations, that's where I would much rather you spend your time rather than one where there's nothing happening. Just leave.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I feel like for me particularly, because I'm like, oh, there's a group in regards to X, Y, and Z, and then I subscribe to like all 10 of them, and it's almost like it's overwhelming. So I like the idea of even going in, subscribing to one, check it out. If I don't like it, subscribe to another, because again, my ADHD brain is like, I want to do all the things, and I just don't feel like it's efficient for me. And I
Yeah.
mean, other people have to feel the same way, whether or not they have ADHD, that it can be overwhelming and it could be intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So, going back to the strategy and its simplicity, if if it's still overwhelming to a lot of people, if you were to say, if there were, three things that you really want people to focus on, and I know we've definitely talked about them already, but if you were to say these are the three things that you would focus on for success, what would you suggest that they are?
It would go back to that triangle. Get to know people through your profile. Optimize your profile. Make sure that each part of your profile speaks to why you're there, and who your audience is. And then look for the conversations and start having conversations in the comments so that people can get to like you. And then that third piece is really trust. And 5% of the people who are on LinkedIn, 5% of the 1 billion people on LinkedIn are currently creating content. And so LinkedIn is going to showcase the people who are creating content as opposed to the people that aren't. And so if you currently are not doing like a content on LinkedIn, I recommend you give it a shot because it's an untapped territory still. Even after I've been creating content now for 6 years, still it's an untapped territory for a lot of people who want to earn the trust of their network, and you can really do that through content.
I love that. And because like I feel like that's something that I lack on as well. And also making sure that I'm creating relative content. And so this is my main focus. I mean, selfishly, I'm like, ooh, what are all the tips and tricks? So I think it's really important, right? To figure out, what it is that we're creating. And I know every platform is so completely different. Every market of social media is so completely different. But when we're focusing on LinkedIn, would you suggest that the same thing that we post on Instagram and Facebook is the same thing that we post on LinkedIn?
It's a different algorithm. It is a totally different algorithm. A lot of people do the copy and paste and just spray and pray on all of the social media. And I caution people on that because while it may be a good post for Instagram or it may be a good post for TikTok, is it going to do what you want to do on LinkedIn? Is it going to get the people's attention? It's a case by case basis. So you really have to focus in on what is going to generate the most visibility for me on LinkedIn, as opposed to just, well, I did this on Instagram, so let's see. You can take a piece of it and then um, customize it for LinkedIn. That's what I recommend you do.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And so I mean, you gave us so many different ways to strategize to become more efficient on LinkedIn. And every time I talk to you, and I say this and I mean this sincerely, you are probably one of the smartest women that I know and have so much information inside of you. And I know it because I've gotten to know you personally. I've gotten to read something. You're being published, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? How do people get a copy of what that is that you're working on?
The book is the Complete Small Business Guidebook, and it's a collaborative book. And I'm contributing a chapter in that book, and it comes out at the end of October 2024. So
Yay, that's
all over.
exciting.
Yep, coming up very soon.
I can't wait to find it on social media so I can go and purchase my copy because, I love everything that you're doing and everything that you're working on. And I highly encourage anyone who wants to take that next step to reach out to you, to have a conversation with you. I think having a conversation with you about how they can explore how to get even deeper into this and to really maximize their business, I think they would be silly not to. If you can tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, all your contact information and all that.
Yep. So you can search Deanna Russo on LinkedIn, and chances are I will be one of the first people that pops up in the search. Very, very lucky that all of my hard work on LinkedIn has now offered me that possibility and that opportunity. Deanna at leverageupllc.com is my email. And my company website is leverageupllc.com. You can read testimonials, you can check out podcasts I've been on, and you can see my services. I work one-on-one with my clients. I work with teams in order to get them all on the same page when it comes to LinkedIn. And yeah, it's just been really fantastic because I've been able to take my experience and then help other people, teach other people how to do this. And it's not rocket science. It's not as awesome as rocket science is. This can be very easy. It's really not. It's not complicated.
Well, thank you. And thank you for making it simple. Thank you for really explaining it to us so we can truly understand it. And, like I said, check her out on LinkedIn. Make sure you just put her name right in, Deanna Russo. It does pop right up. She is an expert when it comes to all things LinkedIn. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I can't wait to talk to you again in the future. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Jen.
You're welcome.